Thank you for joining me again for another video from the Trail of the Green Man. We're going to take a look at a Robert Fludd, a Kabbalist, a Rosicrucian, a cosmologist, mathematician. Took part in quite a lot of things, and there'll be more information about this gentleman in the bio. We're going to take a look at his publication Summum Bonum, the highest good, basically, and concentrate especially on this rather famous Rosicrucian woodblock carving, Dat Rosa Mel Apibus. Right, basically, in a translation is the rose gives the bees honey. It's been quite a carving for me as well, going through the years. Like looking at it, I think I actually had it as my desktop background at one point. But with the experience, especially if you've been looking through a lot of the previous videos, some of that skill or knowledge that we've gained here is going to help us extract some information from this picture, and more than just give us some information, it's going to give us a little picture how this nice little scene here with the bees and the rose, the background, and how things can turn a little bit sinister perhaps. and we'll go from there. There's a couple of things to highlight. I suppose we'll go about it first. Maybe you can't see it as quite a dark reproduction of this. There's a spider here sitting lurking at the edge of this flower, and then we have two bees, a beehive, and basically the foreground and background. There is a lot more to this, but what we're going to discuss for today, we'll need to focus in especially at the top. As we look at this Dat Rosa Mel Apibus, Apibus is with the bees basically. We can see that there's a dot here at the start and a dot at the end, basically like separating this part of the phrase from the rest of it. That's the kind of first thing that I notice. And also you can see how this S is unevenly spaced away from the U of Apibus. You can see here the equal spacing, and then we've got this rather even, is perhaps even double or triple the amount from what is regularly accepted there. And we have something similar on the other thing, the first letter this time, as opposed to the opposite side, which is the last letter. We can clearly see the gaps maybe 2 times as much, or even 3 times as much as it should be compared to the rest. So instantly these are the things that kind of stand out to me and allow for me to kind of group things together. The first thing we'll highlight is this spider. We can see he's got his base camp, if you will, here. There's like the spider's webs caught up between these branches or fence posts. And the first thing that you kind of notice is that both of these spider webs are 7-sided. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the same with the bottom as well. They're 7-sided. And we notice our flower is 7-sided. And then you think, how has the spider managed to get from perhaps his base camp over to this flower? So I'm going to highlight 7, sorry, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 heptagons. Because it's a 7-sided flower, as you can see, I've kept to the same shape here that's provided using the tip edge, and then the same inside. So you get this kind of rotating effect, I suppose, if you will, of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different layers of this flower, allowing us to give these heptagons. And when I start putting lines through the heptagons in order to like align them up, I'll just take a look, and what you tend to get is something that looks a little bit like a spider's web. Now, I know that this is extreme out there with the interpretation, but all I'm merely doing is just 7-sided I've placed to follow the outline of the flower, and I'm just replicating what we've got on the left-hand side here with these two spider webs. If I zoom out, maybe get a little bit better. What it does do, though, it allows us to explain how this spider has perhaps managed to get from here over to here. And if this indeed is a spider's web, if I allowed me the rope basically to hang myself, then the picture starts to look a little bit more darker, because this bee is then stuck and this one is not. If this is a spider's web, then this bee is actually on the web already, and it's actually stuck now. So it begins to take on a different kind of effect. So using like the same concept of a seven-sided tomb, what is the possibility? What are they talking about here? What is the purpose of some spider and one bee being stuck and one bee still free? What is it all about? So what I'll do is I'll remove some of the let's say the distracting stuff, so I can highlight something, because nothing here it's all done on purpose. Everything's got a position, and everything's got a reason, just like we've seen in many of the carvings that demonstrates this type of thing, whether it's Daniel Moglin or Michael Mayer. He was another example. It's just something that's now kind of common for me. So when we remove everything, what it's going to allow me to do is show that the positioning of these bees, and the spider is deliberate. If we take a look, going from the head of the spider to the head of the bee, and then from the head of the bee, we go through the centre of the face or the head of the other bee, and then back down through the centre of the spider, back to our original starting point. These animals or creatures are placed at a very specific place, like a 3-4-5 triangle, being 90 degrees, 37 degrees, and then 53 degrees. So the positioning of these on this carving is deliberate if we take into account everything that we've seen before. So what exactly is going on here? Now, if we take a little look above at the expression dat rosa mel apibus, the rose gives the bees honey. What if there's something in here that we can actually work on that's going to help? If we look, one of the first things that I pick up on, it's the same strategy all the time. It's the same two words coming together to make one word, or one word running backwards. It always seems to be the same thing, and you can start to extract information. And it's very innocent unless you know what you're looking for. So to begin with, we've got the word sort, and then running from that same, we've got the word same. And when I see something like sort same, that tells me there's some kind of word game or anagram there. There's something present where we use the same letters and we sort them. That's basically the concept of it, and it seems to happen quite common, something like this. And if I'll just go through things each step. Now, if it's sort same, we have another word here. I'll just remove so we can see this. Lema for Lima. Now, this word's quite interesting, and it's going to help understand what exactly is going on here. The word Lima in Spanish, to begin with, I know that we're dealing with Latin and then me just to say Spanish, but it's got its roots in the Latin. But Lima basically means motto in Spanish, and here we have this Lima taking part of dat rosa mel apibus, which is in fact the motto or the slogan of it. That's what Lima basically means. But Lima is derived from the Latin, meaning a subject for consideration or explanation. And that is basically, lemma is actually derived from the Greek meaning I take. So this is a very kind of interesting word. But I think what it's getting at is this lemma, we need to actually look at it further, these letters. There's something here that is wanting us to do, basically. And just looking at it, if you see the spider, you see the line going through the centre, and we've got lemma, and it's a very, very simple anagram of MEAL, meaning meal, as in our spider has got a meal. he's getting this bee. And there's more, obviously, but at the first glance, that is the first thing that comes through. It's quite funny, actually. And the fact that in the Spanish that it means motto lets me know that in fact we are indeed in the right place. And extra to that, if we just look to the right of this, we have the word pale. Now, for pale, we might think like a darker shade colour or a bucket, perhaps. But back in like the 14th century and stuff like that, like a pale was an area or a limit in which one is privileged or protected. It was actually like a boundary. This is where we get words like palisade from. So when this word pale, meaning boundary, and we see that we have the full stop sitting here in the middle of the word, and I was talking about how this full stop at the start and the end seems to be some kind of border for this, so it kind of explains why we have this border here it's talking about. And then there's something else that's just beside it. We have an I here, and if I just remove pale, that means we actually have the word pi. Now, pi is a maths kind of calculation or formula that is used like 3.14. But the reason I believe that this is intentional, the word pi, is because just before it we have the word ALE for ale. And in the UK or England, where this gentleman's from, steak and ale pie was a very, I'm not going to say common because it might have been expensive, I don't know, but it was a meal that you would expect these people to eat at the time. So I think it is referencing pi as in working out the circumference of like a circle, and then it's helping us verify ale, because it is indeed a pie is something that you can eat. Now, I know I might be kind of getting confusing at this stage, but if we take a look at the last three letters, we have the word sub, and the first two letters at the start we have the word add. So we've got like pi, add, sub, which I'm now going to assume is subtract. What are they talking about? What do we need to add, and what do we need to subtract? And what about a steak and ale pie? What could this kind of possibly mean? And it takes a little bit of time, and then you begin to kind of realise what indeed they're getting at. Because we have pi, which is how to determine a circle, and then we have the word pale, which was a border, and basically a circular border is a circle. Really, I think it's hinting at a circle. And if you look at this drawing, apart from the circle of the flower, there is a place where I would indeed say there's an X marks the spot, and if we place this X here is just for the centre line, so we can pick up the centre line accurately. If we take a look at this and we place a circle at the start of this X or this cross, what we see is we can place it, and if we go through, which would be the 3, 4, 5 triangle, the point of it, which is the head of the spider, it goes through the first letter D, which was separated. And if this was a spider's web, perhaps this letter D should be subtracted because it is stuck. Because I know this is insane, but this spider has managed to get from its home base over to the flower, and in doing so, it's came via the D. Now, if we remove that D, we get just the simple word at. So it seems like a long way to go about something just so we can remove a letter. But perhaps we can remove a letter and add a letter, having add and subtract. So why don't we try to kind of piece this small little motto basically together? If we see this rosa, mel, if we were just to reverse that mel for lem, we would get rosa lem. And instantly my mind thinks about Roslyn Chapel, and then we've got Jerusalem, and the fact that I've heard that Roslyn Chapel was styled after or constructed in the fashion of some building in Jerusalem, the Holy Sepulchre or the Temple of Solomon. I can find no evidence for that. I did have a good look. I don't see any kind of connection. But Rosalem would kind of insinuate that, but it's enough to make you think that perhaps there is something there. Now, if we think about this, okay, so kind of to help explain this, what I'll do, I'll start to remove some of this extra stuff because it seems to be several layers placed on top of each other to help understand one simple phrase. So just bringing it back should help us go about this a little bit quicker. I can even remove the 3, 4, 5 triangle so everything's nice and clear. Right. Now if we highlight the word lemma again, remember I told you that the meaning was, well, in its most ancient in the Greek would be to take or I take, but it would be it deserves further inquiry basically, to take a look into it. And lemma, if we attach a value, a numerical value to lemma, and also we take the D from the spider, that value adds up to 33. L-E-M-A and D adds up to 33. And if we were to take 3 different letters, L-I-N, that value also adds up to 33. Because when we take the D and we add them together to get 33, we also get the word M-E-L-D, meld. And meld means to join something or join 2 things together, to meld something. So when I say add the D, there's a reason for it, because not just numerically, it actually goes to help D to M-E-L to make meld, to join them together. So there's always some kind of step to help us understand what we're doing. So apart from the fact that these 2 numbers are share this kind of relationship, that's what I think it's talking about. Not Rosalem, but Rosalind, due to a process of adding, like add the D, which would mean add 4, a value of 4 to lemma, which would take it up to 33, and the value of nil, N, is 13, I is 9, and L is 11, which is 33. So that would mean, because the D was taken, it would be at Rosalind Apibus, at Rosalind by the bees. But if we look, there seems to be a problem of this S. And I know that this is a problem with Apibus by the bees, but I had to think about this for a while, because if we just take away the S is the phrase now by the bee. And what's really interesting is a few years ago, that helps kind of tie this Roslin together. During a maintenance programme on the roof of Roslin Chapel, 2 beehives were discovered. 2 beehives were discovered. One beehive had been in use, and one beehive was in a state of, it was never fully finished. It was purposely sealed without having an entrance, so for it to be used by bees. And that makes me believe that we are indeed dealing with something here regarding Roslin Chapel. And just like we subtracted the D and then we added the D to this side, if we just leave it, it is dat. And dat, as if you've seen some of the videos before, comes up before as one of the tree of life positions in a Kabbalistic tree of life. So it could be as simple as dat, meaning dath, at Roslin by the bee. And the reason why I think it's saying bee here is because one beehive is open in Roslin and one beehive is closed. Or else, if both are open, it would be Roslin by the bees. But because only one is open, it's Roslin by the bee. If you'd like to know more about this beautiful carving, we will discuss it at the Trail of the Green Man, especially at the Discord. If you'd like to take part in that discussion, come along. Help us get to the bottom of this mystery. I will be happy to share what comes next, some insights, and what exactly relationship did the Rosicrucians have with Roslin Chapel, if any. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'll hope to see you at the Discord. Thanks.